So how much of a difference do you believe these armored vehicles will make at the border?
Well, look, I think it's certainly a very imposing look, especially if you're on the other side of the border looking north, right? But at the end of the day, the job of the military is to supplement the border patrol. They're not law enforcement. Okay, they're there to supplement the border patrol to ensure that they're not processing immigrants, they're not doing the back office where these folks could be eyes and ears on the border and do some of this back office work that they traditionally have the border patrol has done, so they can be be boots on the ground. Now, at the end of the day, they can't arrest. I mean, you can have 50, 100 people crossing the border right now, and they could be looking, they could just walk by this thing and nothing can happen. They can't arrest them. They can't touch them. They can't do anything. They can call law enforcement. Sure, they can. So that's the thing. We need to change a few things to really look at that. Now, what we can do is alert the Mexican military on the other side. They can certainly do something to prevent the crossing from the start. And that's what we need to do, is looking at how do we start doing this from the root cause. That's the transorganized crime that's ruling 40% of Mexico, certainly the one that's bringing the human trafficking over the border, and usually and normally has been the cause of all the illegal immigrants that we've had over the last 4 to 5 years and beyond. We need to look at how do you stop that and disrupt those cartels now. Otherwise, this is going to be an ongoing thing forever. And then we need to take a look at the ports of entry. Remember, 70–80% of our drugs flow over the ports of entry, not in between the ports of entries, on the ports of entries. That means the legitimate trade and travel. That, again, by disrupting criminal organizations in Mexico, that stops people putting drugs and other things in those conveyances, of which we have 32,000 that cross on a daily basis, and we're only inspecting less than 1.5% of them. So I'll tell you what, if I'm a drug dealer, I'm putting them on these conveyances, I'm taking my chances, and my drugs are probably going to get through.
Yeah. You know, the administration also sending nearly 7,000 active duty troops to the border. What do you make of that move? Do you have any concern these troops could maybe dent efforts to fight security threats elsewhere?
Well, only in between the ports of entries, because they do not have anything to do on the ports of entries themselves. That's all customs, right? And a lot of that has to, again, start in Mexico. All that does is, again, you have more eyes on the ground. You have more boots on the ground. We're not going to invade Mexico. We don't want to go into Mexico. However, it sends a message. We need to work with the Mexican military, their National Guard. We need to pressure them. We use our intelligence apparatus to ensure that we're doing everything we can. We have boats and ships across in the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America currently, also possibly in the Pacific in the future. We need to stop the issues, and we are in striking distance, and we must pressure the Mexican government to do their part. Otherwise, and including many of their corrupt politicians, to do their part. If not, it's not going to be over. This is going to continue. We want to make sure that our 10th Mountain Division and the other 2 battalions that are deployed out there are ready for war fighting, not for border watching. That's what they're supposed to be doing. So this is a temporary stopgap measure. We need to have more law enforcement personnel, more Border Patrol, more U.S. Customs, more ICE on the border doing and arresting when these people come over. But that will never cease until we disrupt the criminal element south of the border.
What do you believe are the unique challenges to tackling that aspect specifically? You know, these cartels are getting smarter and smarter by the day, even with the tough talk and the tough action from the administration. What needs to be done?
So we need to work, again, we need to work with Mexican Customs, Mexican military. We need to use our intelligence apparatus. We need to have what I would call Plan Mexico, kind of like we had Plan Colombia 20, 25 years ago against the FARC. We need Plan Mexico to go in there and help Mexican military disrupt these farms, these communities of the creation of fentanyl and other illegal substances that are crossing the border. And we need to have secure supply chain and secure corridors. That means from the time that conveyance leaves the plant, the manufacturing facility in Mexico, we need to track that conveyance all the way to the border. Today, we have no visibility of what happens to that tractor trailer until it actually gets to the border and a decision's made at that point. You know what? The decision's too late at that point. They're already at our doorstep. That's kind of stuff that we need to be looking in advance. So this is a lot of coordination. It doesn't make for a great visual like we're seeing right now. It doesn't look like a border wall. It doesn't see the troops. It doesn't make for a great visual, but The bottom line is when you're taking $2 billion of international trade on a daily basis, and I said 32,000 conveyances, this is where the drugs are coming over.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.